We are on.
We're on the air.
How do you feel? How was that?
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
Every time I do like a breath work, it reminds me of coming out of a DMT trip. So it's like
Yeah, well, it definitely can. Some of
as
the somatic guided breathwork sessions that I do, some of the hour-long journeys with music and stuff coming out of them, you do activate the DMT realm, and where sometimes like you can be on the floor just looking up and coming to, it's just like this like just this just portal just sucking you back in, and yeah,
coming
it's
the body,
hey,
coming back to the body.
yeah, and it's very I've had a few profound experiences or moments through some of the breathwork journeys where well, what I believe I've tapped into sort of Christ consciousness, or that of, the secret of what lies within us, and that being that, we are the secret, we are God, and we are creation within. And I've had these well, pure moments of being in sort of love, and then, you're coming to and coming back out, but it's like you just go through this energetic field where if you're sort of vulnerable, you can be open to like an attack of some sort. I don't know whether it's an entity attack. I don't know whether it's like it could be an attack of thoughts, or it can be, a certain feeling that I've not
Yeah,
really dived. Go.
you open yourself up to all sorts of things when you're going through the astral plane. So if you're not spiritually aware or spiritually developed in being able to handle things like that, that's why newbies, when they first try psychedelics or DMT or try and have that awakening, it's like you have to have some type of foundation as to just be, it's yeah, it's very strange to be able to explain, really. But I've had some pretty dark psychic attacks, or whatever you want to call it, especially when I was doing all my psychedelic experiences. I wasn't really private about it. I was filming all my journeys on Instagram story, like blending the mushrooms and blending the lemons and everything. So
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't like they didn't know when I was going to be in that moment, because I was literally drinking the 10 gram, 11-gram teas on the Instagram story. So it opens you up to a lot of things, good and, well, positive and negative. But it's,
In the same
the
trip.
yeah, but the overall experience, it's like if you have an intention and you know why you're doing it, it doesn't matter what negativity comes to you or tries to stop you from doing it. It's like life, the government and all these sorts of things are going to try and control your existence and everything,
Mm.
but that you can't be successful in this
Yeah,
reality just because you've got obstacles and difficulties. And obviously the system is designed to be difficult. It's not even doing your taxes and doing everything. They make it so there's so many layers of expertise needed to understand how everything works. That's why the whole matrix is compartmentalized. You look at doctors, there's a brain doctor, there's a leg doctor, there's a fucking heart doctor. It's all compartmentalized because there's so many different aspects to what's going on that the average person can't really comprehend it, because they just get overwhelmed. When you're spending 8 hours a day at work, eating shit food, watching Netflix, watching YouTube, Snapchat. Now we've got fucking TikTok and all this other shit. And people don't realize you have a certain amount of energy, like your
mm.
bandwidth. So when you focus all your energy on shit that doesn't matter, when it comes to things that really matter, you're kind of lacking in energy, and then it becomes overwhelmed. And as soon as you're overwhelmed, you're fucked. You can't think, you can't comprehend, you can't do anything. So yeah, it's very intricate design, whatever you want to call the system we're living in. But once people really wake up to your soul and really realizing that you're your higher self or your God self or your soul, whatever you want to call it, Christ
Mm.
consciousness, it exists in our body. So we're having this human experience or the game experience, the game of life, whatever you want to call it. But we're not, when that's the good name, but we're not our body. So this
Mm.
is so many people get caught up in the looking in the mirror and thinking, all right, well, this is it, this is all I am. And I talked about it in another podcast I did, which hasn't been released yet, and it's just about when you look at most of the chemicals in our food and in our water and toothpaste and everything, it's all designed to disconnect us from our spiritual nature, like from our true self. So religion and all these other things, they work because if people can be indoctrinated into having a belief, you can't believe something and know something at the same time. So if people know, they don't believe, but if people don't know, they have to believe. So it's like,
I think religion's actually been put there to take it's just the distraction from putting a God up there, the distraction from ourselves, because we are actually the God within us. And
yeah, well,
um,
if every single person realized that they could do DMT, magic mushrooms, meditate, do some silent retreats, and a bit of earthing and fasting, and they could have intense spiritual experiences for themselves, it's like history. Every book that we read is someone's story, his story. So
mhm.
I think a lot of people don't really understand that aspect.
Understand?
Yeah, or understand. I just don't think a lot of people really comprehend what's going on, and that's
Mm.
by design. Awakening back to your true self, your true nature is that's why they call it the hero's journey, because it's a very, I wouldn't say traumatic, but it's a very intense emotional experience to realize, when you're waking up and you're thinking, what are we doing here? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? Where did I come from? It's like as soon as we're born, we're told this is who you are, this is your name, this is your gender, this is your religion, this is what sports team you go for, this is what country you go for. It's like so much of our conditioning is cultural conditioning through your family. Whether it depends where you're born, what country, like nationality and things like that. But yeah, a lot of the programming that we get in the first 7 years creates our subconscious. So the first 7 years, they know that the brainwave is it's in a different state. So as soon as you're born, the first 7 years, you're programmable. Just like
That's why they sit all the kids in front of Disney, just to break that subconscious program and get in there really young.
yeah, well, that's the sad thing. Like my daughter watches a lot of Disney, so I try to limit it. But to be honest,
You
my
can't.
partner or my baby mama, whatever you want to call her, she loves Disney, so she's watches a lot. Even though I know there's a lot of subliminal messaging, I try and balance that with a lot of positive content that we get her to watch. So it's not like that's the only thing that's impressing on her subconscious, because I am very conscious of that aspect, because the subliminal stuff, we were exposed to it when we were kids, but we didn't know. But we did. Obviously, it affected us. But that's the whole point of a subliminal message. You don't know you've received it, but you have. So it's
Yeah. I just
yeah,
tap in there. I just tap in there with since you spoke about the subliminal programming. I seen this Alex Jones clip probably within 12 months, and he shared like Terminator 2, where Sarah Connor, she's shaking up against the fence, and that's when that
yeah.
that
She's
nuclear
had
bomb that
a vision.
yeah. Yeah, and like she's at the playground or something, and there's the nuclear bomb or atom bomb, and anyway, so Alex Jones played that part on his show, right? And man, I had this flashback of when like I was 10 or whatever age I was,
Watching it.
and yeah, and but it took me back then, and I sort of had this sort of like this part of my brain was like, holy shit, like they seeded that in my brain from Terminator 2 Judgment Day, because ever since that moment, that anytime that there's been any sort of conflict, whether it's war, because of that image that I see,
get back to that.
I go back to that and I think, oh, this is how I'm going to die. I'm going to die in like a, like a nuclear bomb. Like like after 9/11, I'm like, shit, World War III, that's it. And I go back to that image, go back to that image, go back to that image. But it wasn't until I actually seen it and I was like, wow, I didn't know that back then. And it really gave me like this aha moment where I'm like, I've been struggling with this for like 30 odd years or however long, whenever I seen, that show. And I was like, fuck, like they got me good.